One in the year 7959, Blue Star suffered a severe disaster due to environmental pollution. To ensure the survival of all humanity, the government decided to lead everyone in immigrating into a virtual world. According to experts, the space in this virtual world is infinitely large and contains all the resources needed for human survival. However, due to the time constraints, the intelligence officers sent for reconnaissance did not fully investigate the things in that world. Currently, it is only known that the world does not belong to a normal world, and many of its mechanisms are very similar to a realistic virtual reality survival game. This is all they could gather. As for whether it is suitable for human survival, that can only be known when humanity immigrates. Sociologists worldwide are actively monitoring the dynamics of the virtual world, but the news that is leaked out is still very scarce. Looking at this information in the newspaper, he cannot help feeling a bit confused. He also did not expect that after living for so many years, he would actually encounter something like transmigration. Transmigration is one thing, but couldn't he at least transmigrate to a more normal world? Wouldn't it be great to go to ancient times and become a plagiarist, or to a world with spiritual energy recovery and pick up a golden finger? Cheat, Blue Star, what kind of place is that? Severe environmental pollution is one thing, but now they also have to immigrate to a virtual world. Moreover, coincidentally, today is the day for all humanity to immigrate. Talk about awful timing, and a massive headache hits him right on cue. He sets down the newspaper as the bell outside his door suddenly rings. Due to surface pollution and the lack of oxygen, all humanity now lives in basements below the surface. Each person's room has oxygen supplied to it, as well as a connected universal machine. Notice, please everyone prepare for immigration. Enter the universal machine. Oxygen supplied to the basement. Will stop in 1 minute. Please all humanity enter the universal machine for the immigration of all humanity. Repeating, hearing this warning, he suddenly realized that this immigration was for all of humanity. If the basement stops supplying oxygen, that means anyone who doesn't enter the machine will suffocate to death on Blue Star. There is literally no other choice. He walks into the machine that looked somewhat like a time machine. This immigration teleportation is a massive project. All 900 million people will complete the immigration in 1 minute. Blue Star will no longer have any space where humans can survive. This time humanity will completely disappear from Blue Star. Thinking of this, his chest tightens up. Can you really blame him for feeling anxious? Future of all humanity. Although he came from another parallel world, he was also human, and he would definitely have some worries about humanity's destination. He closed his eyes and stepped into the machine. As soon as he entered, the glass cover slowly lowered, enclosing him inside. Time passed second by second. The timer jumped to all zeros, and the oxygen in the basement room was immediately cut off. A dazzling white light suddenly appeared before his eyes, making him completely unable to see anything. A prompt sound came from beside his ear. Space teleporting. New world data loading. Mental value normal. Heart rate stable. Breathing normal. Mental consciousness reconnecting. The system prompts fade. That blinding white light finally disappears from his eyes. He lands gently on a soft patch of grass, opening his eyes to a brand new world. Above him stretches a blue sky with fluffy clouds. Beneath him is lush green grass. Nearby, tiny tree saplings sway. Taking a breath, he can actually smell the fresh scent of nature. He stands up to get a better look at his surroundings, but then he stops. He notices something completely wild. Everything here is made of giant block shapes. Every single block looks incredibly familiar. Is this real? Minecraft, feeling how real this is, the thought takes over. An instant rush of pure excitement surges from his chest straight to his brain. He leaps up and immediately starts punching a dirt block on the ground. In under a second, the block breaks apart and flies straight toward him. It pops right into his pocket. He opens up his inventory screen to check. Just dirt times 1. It actually is Minecraft. He is absolutely thrilled. He is so emotional he could literally cry. Back in his old world, he loved this game. He spent 9 solid years playing it. No regrets, dedicating his life to Minecraft. To live and die as a block person was his ultimate lifetime motto. Ever since middle school, this game kept him company through every tough night. He remembers staying up for countless hours, completely hooked from day one. The sheer freedom and blocky pixel art style won his heart immediately. He still remembers that first scary zombie encounter. it was terrifying. He literally slept with blankets pulled over his face. Good times, but there were other major milestones too. Crafting his very first table, making a simple torch to light the dark. Defeating that first monster, and finally taking the leap to go deep underground. Striking his first piece of iron ore was a rush he will never forget. Thinking back to those early days brings a huge wave of nostalgia. As the years passed and he grew up, the game evolved right alongside him. Epic new shaders, realistic textures, and custom mods made it endless fun. He just kept falling in love with it. For 9 years, he never stopped. And get this, he actually met his wife through the game itself. They crossed paths on a random server, chatting and bonding over blocks. Soon, they started their own survival world together, 2 little red beds. Side by side, a tiny house, a farm, and endless shared adventures. They fought monsters, went mining, and built their dream home together. It was the perfect life. Naturally, real feelings began to blossom. Survival mode turned into true love, leading to an in-game wedding. Eventually, they met offline, and she became his real-life wife. This game held everything. His youth, his sleepless nights, his entire life. Minecraft is not just some game, it is his ultimate faith. He always dreamed of this day. Now, it is actually happening. Standing on the grass, he stares ahead at a massive oak forest nearby. His excitement is impossible to hide as he dashes toward a tree. He is ready to start punching, but suddenly a system notification pops up. Player connected to World chat channel opened. Well, this is interesting. Finally, the experts are actually right. Is this really a game then? Everyone is complaining that these blocks break by hand, wondering what the use is. Others find themselves stranded on lush grassy plains with sheep and cows. They are jealous. He ended up on grass, but they got a barren desert. It is a total mystery. How are they supposed to survive this? Players notice the tiny chicken leg and water drop icons below them. Panic is setting in as their survival stats are already dropping fast. It feels like humanity has been thrown back to the wild, primitive forests. Reading this chaotic world chat, he starts to notice something incredibly strange. Wait, have these clueless people never actually played Minecraft before this? Then it suddenly hits him, this world is Blue Star, not his home Earth. Their clueless reactions mean he is the only one who knows the recipes. Excitement hits him hard, he is the only one with the recipes. Talk about the ultimate cheat code, while everyone else is totally clueless. That means he can do whatever he wants, literally building his own kingdom. He rubs his hands together, starting to draw up a master survival plan. With the right moves, he could easily become a god-tier player here. His influence is about to send massive shockwaves across the entire world. Enough daydreaming, he needs to go secure some basic wood first. After all, there is a legendary rule here: to get rich, punch trees. Every great survival journey starts with wood, and he has absolutely nothing. He is basically a caveman. Fail to prepare and he will starve. Or even worse, the night monsters will hunt him down soon. Punching down 2 oak trees, he quickly turns the logs into planks. Next, he crafts those fresh wooden planks into a sturdy crafting table. Easy recipe, it only takes exactly 4 oak wood planks. With his crafting table ready, he turns more planks into wooden sticks. Finally, he combines the sticks and planks to forge a wooden pickaxe. This wooden tool in hand officially starts his brand new mining journey. Bare hands work quickly to clear out the grass blocks around him. 3 layers deep, boom, rough cobblestone is right there. Pure excitement floods his veins, despite playing Minecraft for 9 years. This is his very first time experiencing such a hyper-realistic survival. No more screens, no more controllers, he is actually in the game. Smelling the fresh flowers, feeling the hot sun, hearing the insects buzz. Physically touching the blocks and crafting tools with his hands feels wild. The realistic sensations completely blow any ordinary gaming out of the water. Grinning with excitement, he immediately gets down to the actual mining. Hating messy and chaotic caves, he always prefers a neat staircase style. It keeps the mine perfectly organized and makes going up and down effortless. After gathering half a stack of stone, his wooden tool is half broken. Wood is way too slow, time for an upgrade. Why struggle with wood when cobblestone is right in front of him? The Stone Age starts right here, bringing real power to his hands. He pulls out more oak planks to craft another batch of sticks. At the crafting table, he crafts a pickaxe, stone axe, shovel, hoe, and Stone sword. With this, he had officially entered the Stone Age. Looking at the clean set of tools in his backpack, he feels a real sense of accomplishment. He looks up at the two trees he had recently punched down. The oak leaves were drifting down naturally, leaving behind two oak saplings and a fresh apple on the ground. Seeing the fruit, he gets pretty excited. He walks right over, picking up the red apple from the grass, sniffing it gently. It actually has a fresh apple scent. It feels incredibly real. Tuning out everything else, he takes the apple, wipes it on his shirt, and brings it straight to his mouth. Instantly, the sweet juice bursts out, and the incredibly crisp texture makes it impossible to stop. This treat is far more delicious than any apple from his past life. Sweet and crisp, it is easily the best fruit he has ever tasted. Eating it, his eyes practically light up. Once he finishes one of his 3 lost hunger points is restored, along with 1 point of thirst. It seems the hunger system here is different from the original Minecraft he used to play before. An apple gave back 2 hunger points, but now it only restores 1. Talk about a brutal wake-up call for our lone survivor. It looks like beside fighting off zombies at night, he must also solve the problem of food. Survival depends entirely on managing these basic needs. He pauses to think. His plan is to dig up cobblestone underground to build a furnace. Once that is done, he can start hunting. If he can just hunt a lamblord or a nunujun, today's food supply will be completely sorted. With his mind made up, he grabs his stone pickaxe, ready to go mining. Descending into the shaft, he digs up roughly a stack and a half of cobblestone before finally emerging back into the light. Outside, the bright sun is already setting. Time in this strange world flies by much faster than back home. A full day and night only lasts about an hour and a half of standard time, meaning he must work fast. With his gathered stone, he crafts a furnace, packing it away inside his backpack, alongside the crafting table, because he absolutely does not plan to settle down in this dangerous spot. Hunting lies ahead, and if he gets lost, his newly made furnace and crafting table will be completely wasted, which is why carrying everything with him is much safer. With his gear safely packed, he quickly slots his stone sword into the first slot and sets off to find Lamblord and Nunujun. He has reborn on a massive plain where Nunujun and Lamblord should logically be extremely common. Yet he has wandered all day without finding a single creature. Instead, he encounters other survivors who seem entirely lost compared to his clear head. They wander around completely aimless, picking flowers 1 minute and digging up dirt blocks the next, and blindly splashing in the river a moment later. Clearly, they have no idea what to do, crying out that they only have 5 hunger points left. Others desperately ask if there is anything to eat, whining that they are starving. Some even wonder if they can eat tree leaves, complaining of extreme hunger and thirst. Someone tried drinking river water, only to find out it is completely undrinkable. They question what the Federal Association is doing, terrified they will starve to death. Suddenly, the Federal Association representative posts an urgent notice. The Federal Association tells everyone to find their own way to survive. They claim researchers are studying countermeasures and ask everyone to be patient. A researcher representative posts a notice about native residents living here. It says players can ask them for help or trade with wandering merchants. With just those few words, the authorities completely dismiss them. Expecting help from the local residents turns out to be a complete joke. One player thought they were saved upon finding a village and went in to beg. Instead, the locals beat them up on sight. Another got thrashed over a carrot. They lament about what kind of brutal world this is, absolute human suffering. Hearing their endless complaints, he can only shrug his shoulders helplessly. Without knowing the crafting recipes and how to gather food, his situation would be similar. After all, in a brand new world, feeling lost is completely normal. Yet none of these struggles concern him. He knows how to survive. That is because he understands survival here better than anyone. With the sky turning darker and darker, evening officially arrives. Watching the slowly setting sun, he finally feels a mounting sense of crisis. This world is slightly different from the Minecraft game of his past life. He wonders if a single stone sword is enough to fight off night zombies. To ensure his safety, he has no intention of searching in the dark. That means he must secure enough food before the sun completely sets. He circles the plains a few times, hoping to find some cows or sheep. But even after searching the area, he cannot find a single thing. Not even a chicken. Logically, plains should have the highest spawn rates. So why is there not a single creature around? Nothing. This is incredibly strange, he mutters to himself as darkness begins to fall. Deciding not to rely on pure luck, he temporarily gives up on hunting. Chopping down oak trees for apples seems like a much faster option. The data here is clearly different, with much lower animal spawn rates. Otherwise, how could the wide plains be this completely empty? Finding an oak forest, he immediately begins chopping down trees. After chopping down about 7 trees, his hunger and thirst bars both drop to 5. He sighs at the sight. Eating apples is definitely not sustainable. Every activity drains his stats, while apples provide very little nourishment. A losing battle, his hunger is dropping way too fast. At this rate, harvesting apples will never keep up with his exhaustion. He clearly needs a better plan to make it through the night. Slipping his stone axe away, he watches the sun sink toward the horizon. Time is running out, and he needs to pick up the pace. The oak leaves are still decaying, but he decides not to break them. Let them fall naturally, it saves precious time. After all, he still has to build a shelter before the monsters arrive. He quickly crafts the freshly chopped oak logs into wood planks. Using the planks, he begins constructing a basic 5x5 shelter. He builds a simple shelter 5 blocks wide and 3 blocks tall. With many monsters spawning at night, fighting with a stone sword is too risky. But that does not mean he is safe. After all, this is a completely unknown world, and whether the monsters here are as strong as the ones in Minecraft remains to be seen. He builds a simple box-shaped wooden house as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, the leaves of the oak trees behind him have almost all fallen. He walks towards several red apples on the ground. From 7 oak trees, he gets 10 oak tree saplings and 5 apples. This drop rate is pretty high, but it is still not enough to secure his food supply. He wipes the apples on his clothes, then starts biting into them. The apples in this world are incredibly sweet, even though he had eaten one before, he still finds the taste of this apple absolutely incredible. They are crisp, sweet, large, and juicy, apples that simply did not exist in his original world. It seems eating here is going to be a pure pleasure. After eating 3 apples, his hunger and thirst immediately recover. To 8 segments, actually, he would only lose strength and be unable to move when his hunger drops below 3 segments, but the experiences in this world are intensely realistic. Basically, when his hunger drops to 5 segments, he already feels hungry, so he has to eat something to tide him over. After finishing the apples, he places the furnace and crafting table inside the small house he just built. By now, the sky has completely darkened. He has no coal on him, so he cannot make torches or get any light source. He fumbles in the dark, tossing the freshly dropped oak tree saplings into the furnace to burn. As they catch fire, a faint light appears in the room. Although he doesn't have coal right now, he can use oak tree saplings and oak logs to make charcoal instead. In the Minecraft world, both coal and charcoal can be used to craft torches. After burning a few pieces of charcoal, he crafts 8 torches on the crafting table. He takes out 4 of them and places them in the 4 corners of the room, and immediately the dark room lights up. Watching the torches flicker, he cannot help but nod. There is always a sense of pride when looking at something he made himself, especially with the realism this world brings him, which is incomparable to the game. Minecraft is not just a game, but a literal lifestyle. Thinking of this, he gets excited. Again, however, his excitement doesn't last long before he hears low growling of zombies right outside. They are here, just as he expected. They appear at night, just like in Minecraft. But wait, before he can even make a move, a sudden scream echoes from nearby. Help, what on earth is this thing? Not far from his small wooden house, several people are being chased by a massive group of zombies. One poor guy who did not even have time to pull up his pants gets bitten on the butt by a zombie. There are actually zombies in this world, too. Absolutely terrifying. Damn it, he was halfway through taking a dump and got so scared he cut it off. It is hard enough just to survive, and now there are monsters, several of them scatter, fleeing from the horde. One terrified girl even cries out in fear, begging them not to run and wait for her. As they scatter, he pokes his head out, watching their chaotic escape and finding the whole scene somewhat amusing. Surely they are not the only ones under attack in this world right now. If he is not mistaken, tons of people are probably running for their lives right now, as distress messages constantly flood the global chat. The chat channel explodes. Why are there zombies? Nobody mentioned this before. What is happening? Calling all representatives now. Representatives, do something. We already immigrated to this place. Now these mindless zombies are going to strangle everyone to death. Everyone wants to go back to Blue Star. Nobody wants to stay in this terrifying place. It is terrifying. The representative posts a notice for helpless citizens. To survive, they have to build a sealed shelter out of solid blocks. Monsters cannot break solid blocks. People yell back, tell us this sooner. Exactly, if people die, who is going to be responsible? The representative replies, they only just discovered this themselves. The sudden zombie attack pushes most players to their absolute breaking point. They went from an advanced high-tech world straight into primitive society. Surviving the day was exhausting enough, and now nights are a frantic zombie chase. This brutal gap in reality is simply too much for most to accept. They only complain, they cannot stand this harsh life. Food and water are already scarce during the day, and night brings deadly monsters. Honestly, who wouldn't be terrified in this spot? In just one day, many. Starvation has already claimed many lives, yet the council offers no solutions. Instead of helping, the council has only a cold response to their pleas. Regarding the desperate demands to return home to Blue Star, the answer is clear. There is no going back. Their home planet can no longer support human life. To survive, humanity must adapt to this harsh new world and push forward. Hearing this, the world channel instantly floods with endless cries of panic. With so many monsters out there, this is basically the end of the world. One player cries out that a brief encounter just cost him 4 whole hearts. What did he even do wrong? Others tell him to look on the bright side. At least there are no monsters during the day, which gives them a safe window. Plus, some notice a pattern. These creatures all run at the same exact speed. They cannot outrun a human, so hiding out is a solid backup plan. Still, many complain that their hunger bar is dropping to dangerous levels. If this keeps up, starvation will get them long before the monsters do. In the chat, all hope is lost, and nobody can offer comfort anymore. Coming from a comfortable society, none of them ever faced true starvation. Scavenging for food during the day is humiliating, crushing their pride completely. Now it is purely survival of the fittest. JN silently types these cold words into the global chat window. As soon as his message posts, it instantly sparks a wave of outrage. People shout back, what do you mean by natural selection? Are you seriously trying to lecture us about the law of the jungle? We are civilized modern citizens. How can we survive here? Who even is this JN? They mock him, saying he is all talk and won't last 2 days himself. Supposedly, he is just acting tough while everyone else struggles. JN simply looks at the wave of angry comments and shrugs it off. To him, they simply must face the truth. They are no longer pampered modern citizens, they are survivors now. Adapt or die, those who cannot adapt will perish. Yi Hyan typed these cold words. 2 sentences, having no desire to argue with a bunch of whining. Internet whiners, pulling a stone sword from his backpack, he listened to the guttural groans of zombies outside and prepared for his nightly monster hunt. His small stockpile of apples probably would not last through the night. Back when he played Minecraft, he frequently survived on nothing but rotten flesh out of desperation, so he figured this world worked similarly. If things got desperate, he did not mind sacrificing his taste buds. After all, survival required fuel, and missing a single meal meant immediate weakness. Even as he stood there, his hunger meter had already plummeted to just 5 points. At this brutal rate, people would definitely starve today. Yi Hyan felt slightly helpless, but survival of the fittest was law. He had no grand illusions of being some heroic savior for everyone. His only absolute priority was keeping himself alive, completely ignoring the plight of others. Yi Hyan chipped away a single block from the bottom of his wall. Instantly, the nearby zombies caught his scent and began to gather. They crowded around the tiny gap, completely unable to reach him inside. This classic foot trimming technique is the absolute easiest way to farm mobs safely. Since zombies are 2 blocks tall, they can only strike from the upper level. Their lower halves cannot deal damage, meaning a sealed upper half keeps him safe. Leaving only the bottom row exposed lets him slash away without taking damage. Outside, the monsters snarled with rabid hunger, desperate to get in. Their terrifying growls echoed loudly, but Yi Hyan remained completely unfazed by the noise. After slaying hundreds of these creatures in his gaming days, he felt nothing. Though they terrified him when he first started playing, they were now Basically harmless ants to him now. He calmly watched them crowd the narrow gap. He raised his basic stone sword and delivered a swift slash through the opening. That single blow triggered a glowing red health bar right above the target. It showed 40 health points, double the amount of a standard game zombie. These creatures were clearly much stronger than the ones he was used to. Testing his weapon once more, he calculated his damage to see the difference. The stone sword only dealt 5 points of damage, exactly like the game. Doing the math, this real-world survival challenge was twice as difficult. A cold wave of anxiety washed over him as he processed this reality. Caution was going to be his absolute best friend if he wanted to live. He kept striking methodically until the first zombie finally collapsed into dust. The moment it died, his entire vision suddenly locked up in place. System notifications congratulated Yi Hyan for securing the very first zombie kill. A special reward notification flashed before his eyes as his backpack suddenly glowed. Stunned by the sudden prompt, he wondered what the reward could possibly be. While he muttered the words to himself, the global chat instantly exploded. Panicked players demanded to know how anyone could already kill a monster. One user cried out that his own attacks barely scratched the creatures. The beasts healed instantly, making them seem completely impossible to defeat. Everyone wondered who Yi Hyan was and if he found some broken cheat. Some might say he's cheating, but this is no video game. It's just too incredibly realistic. What kind of reward did he get? Food. Slaying a zombie is just too wild. While other survivors are running for their lives, Yiha actually went ahead and killed one. Hold on, is Yiha the same guy who just posted about natural selection? It turns out it really is him. There is absolutely no doubt. At first, everyone thought he was just showing off, but he has the real strength. Honestly, defeating a monster like that seems completely impossible to believe. But regardless of the doubt, that historic first kill motivated so many people. It proved these monsters can actually be defeated by regular human beings. Now humanity finally knows they have a real fighting chance to resist. Still, a burning question remains: how exactly did he manage to pull it off? Other survivors had tried punching them barehanded and ended up doing absolutely zero damage. Floods of confused messages began filling up the global chat. But Yiha has absolutely no time to spare on answering any of them right now. He ignores the chat entirely, noticing a new detail on his panel. A brand new stat has appeared there, displaying gold coins. Defeating that single zombie has instantly earned him a total of 5 gold coins. While their exact purpose is still a mystery, one thing is clear. Slaying monsters in this world is the direct way to gather wealth. This economy proves there must be a trading platform hidden somewhere. That makes this entire environment very different from a standard Minecraft playthrough. Yiha decides to fully investigate this coin system first thing tomorrow morning. Right now, he opens his inventory to inspect his historic first kill reward. It looks like a strange egg, something unseen in normal survival mode. Naturally, he is incredibly curious about what this unique item actually does. Let's be real, a global first kill prize is bound to be completely overpowered. He examines the item closely, finding a small manual beside it. On the cover of the manual, only 3 words are written. Made Chan, there is absolutely no other detail provided. Yiha is left completely speechless by such an incredibly vague description. Leaving the manual aside, he pulls the mysterious egg out of his backpack to inspect it. He recalls that Minecraft indeed has spawn eggs for all creatures. But those spawn eggs are normally blocked in survival mode. They are only meant for creative mode, which he rarely ever touched. Because of that, he is not entirely sure how it behaves. But the basic mechanic is always the same, you just throw it. With a quick toss, an incredibly cute maid instantly spawns in front of him. Yiha quickly pulls up her stats to see how she works. It turns out she is very different from the classic mods he remembers. Her interface lists her owner as Yiha, meaning she is already bound to him. There is absolutely no need to tame her with cakes or candies. Traditional mod maids could only perform simple tasks like fighting off monsters. But this companion is capable of doing literally anything for him. She is incredibly realistic, basically a real-life dream companion for any survivor. She even possesses her own unique personality and fully independent thoughts. Independent consciousness, for example, he only had to glance her way. Few times before she already sensed something was off, the maid. tilted her head and looked at him, asking why he was staring. This maid's voice was incredibly sweet, and being called master made his heart melt, though he used mods in his past life compared to this ultra-realistic maid in front of him. There was simply no comparison. The maids in his old mods never called him master, nor were they this obedient, and they certainly could not talk. The difference between the two was massive. This got him pretty curious about her other features. He asked if she had a name. She softly replied no, asking if he wanted to give her one, seeing how incredibly sweet and obedient she was. His heart felt so much lighter. Surviving alone was always a bit lonely. He had worried he would never adapt to this world without anyone he knew, but now, with a companion by his side, he no longer had to face this isolation alone, not anymore. So from now on, her name would be Lillian. He chose it randomly, without any special meaning behind it. Even so, Lillian seemed absolutely thrilled with it. She nodded obediently, her two large round eyes gazing intently at him. She asked what he needed, so he told her to help him fight zombies. He walked over to the workbench, crafting a stone sword using sticks and cobblestones. He handed the weapon to Lillian and showed her how to slay zombies. Lillian obediently copied his movements and got right to work. He discovered that the gold coins from the monsters she defeated went straight into his account, a huge win since grinding monsters was honestly way too tedious for him. Now that she could do it, he could save precious time for other things, but the grinding work did not last very long before Lillian suddenly stopped. She opened her blinking eyes, looking at him pitifully, and murmured that she was hungry. Her voice was incredibly sweet, making his heart tremble, but as touched as he was, her words immediately made him panic. He asked if she really needed to eat. But of course maids had hunger levels too. Well, damn it, he instantly felt some regret. Could he put this maid back in her egg? His food supplies were already dangerously low, barely enough to feed one mouth. And now there was an extra mouth. This was going to ruin him. Feeling a bit helpless, he pulled out 2 pieces of rotten flesh from his bag and handed them to her, telling her it was all they had. He suggested she eat the meat. But as soon as she saw the rotten flesh, a look of disgust appeared on her face. She refused to eat it, crying that she would get poisoned. Pouting like she was about to cry, she asked if he wanted her to die. In fact, he actually wanted to stuff her right back into her tiny egg. Though he obviously kept that cruel thought to himself, aloud, he quickly reassured her otherwise, claiming he had no idea maids could not eat rotten flesh. Putting the meat back inside his bag, he handed his only remaining 2 apples to Lillian. The moment she saw the 2 apples, her eyes immediately lit up. She snatched them away and ate them clean, leaving him to sigh in defeat. What a wasteful woman. He thought he could survive on apples tonight, but never expected this reckless spender to show up in the middle of the night with his hunger bar at only 4 units. He pulled rotten meat from his backpack and ate it. The flesh tasted awful, like chewing on old leather shoes, with a rancid smell making it almost impossible to swallow. He choked it down anyway, then stared at the apples in Lillian's hands, honestly wanting to cry. Was it too late to stuff this maid back into her egg? Still, he definitely would not abandon Lillian. After all, compared to a few apples, Lillian was of much greater use to him. He struggled to swallow the rotten meat. His hunger bar immediately recovered by 4 units, but he also entered a negative hunger state. This status would not affect his physical movement in any way. Instead, it just made him feel incredibly starved, back in his previous life. He never minded this debuff, but now he truly felt the sheer discomfort. It was tough. The constant hunger and bitter taste were hard to handle. Clearly, finding a reliable food source had to be the absolute top priority for tomorrow. In a brutal survival game, staying alive is everything. 30 seconds later, the negative status vanished, and he felt much better. His hunger bar sat at 7 units, meaning food was safe for now, leaving him with only 4 units, perhaps because he had just eaten the rotten flesh. He felt his thirst level dropping much faster than before. He truly hadn't expected that a veteran player of 9 years would face a survival challenge on his first night. If this got out, he would be laughed to death by Minecraft fans. He sighed helplessly. According to the original settings, river water could not be drunk directly. To drink water, he had to craft a glass bottle first. Though he had a furnace and could smelt glass, where was he going to find sand in the dead of night? Should he grab a stone sword and charge Out he glanced at the zombies outside the door. He did not know when it started. But the small house was already surrounded by zombies with a few skeletons on the very edge, with dozens of monsters having 40 points of health. If he dared to step out of this room, he would probably be torn to shreds by the horde in seconds. He simply had to endure it, giving up any plans of going out tonight. He grabbed his stone axe and broke two more blocks from the bottom of the small house. Before, a simple one gap was plenty for him alone to farm monsters, but now with Lillian, the opening naturally had to be larger to speed up their monster farming. He gripped his stone sword and leaned close to the edge where a skeleton was, drawing its bow and shooting at the small wooden house. However, its arrows failed to reach him, hitting only the wooden walls or grass blocks. With this clever foot trimming method, dealing with these monsters was simply effortless. The skeleton slowly walked toward the opening, following the zombies. Seizing this perfect opportunity, he raised his stone sword and slashed at it. This slash struck the skeleton with a clatter of colliding bones, causing the creature's health to drop to 35 out of 40. Its remaining health, like the zombies had doubled in this world, didn't matter though. These monsters were not very smart. Unlike small animals, they would not run away when outmatched. They would only fight Yihyun to the bitter end, just like that skeleton. Even after being slashed by him, it still had not realized how serious the situation was. It let out a pained growl and charged toward him, directly colliding with his stone sword once more. He naturally gave it another quick slash without hesitation. After several rounds, the skeleton dissolved into smoke under his stone sword. Bones and arrows scattered across the ground, alongside a glowing green experience orb. Congratulations to Yihyun for achieving the first skeleton kill of this world. Rewards obtained. A massive prompt flashed before him as another item appeared in his backpack. He stopped immediately. Checking his backpack, he had to see the details. The world chat channel received this notification, completely confusing everyone. What is going on? Is it that Yihyun guy again, the very same person? Got the first kill for two different monsters. Could it be a duplicate name? Probably not, right? Damn it. Isn't this guy the real monster here? He killed a zombie less than 10 minutes ago, and now a skeleton too. Some just wanted to know where the haters flaming Yihyun went, daring them to try flaming him again. Yihyun was personally demonstrating the true meaning of survival, of the fittest and natural selection. Even though he talked big, some suddenly found him inexplicably handsome. On this lonely night, most players trying to avoid monsters had locked themselves inside enclosed spaces. They barely moved. Because of that, their hunger dropped slowly, keeping them out of any immediate, life-threatening danger. Still, the night was far too boring. They had no beds, could not sleep, and had nothing to do but spam the world chat. This left Yihyun extremely eye-catching, making him the star of the night. On the other side, government staff members were currently hiding inside a dark mineshaft, researching the night's insane events. They wondered who this Yihyun was and how he managed to kill two different monsters in minutes. Even their research department did not have a reliable way to handle zombies and skeletons yet. How did he do it? Nobody knew. They sent a quick friend request to Yihyun, but he had not accepted. The director wanted to win him over and recruit him into the research department, feeling his existence was absolutely indispensable for their survival in the void world. But would he agree? After all, they were a state-owned enterprise. It was a massive honor for an ordinary guy to join such an elite group. Surely no one would refuse. Next, they decided to notify other departments to see if there was any way to track him down. Regarding this, the other staff saw nothing wrong with the plan. After all, for every day they failed to find a survival plan, they would suffer another day. Now the entire research institute hoped someone would solve this, just solve the survival problem in the void world quickly, so they naturally did not care whether Yihyun's background was suitable for joining their ranks. As for whether he would actually want to join the institute, they did not even consider it. They were a powerful state-owned enterprise after all. Joining this National Research Department was considered a lifelong honor for anyone. They believed no one could ever refuse their grand invitation. However, but they had no idea that this world had completely changed. What good was some fancy government job here? Only he knew the secret crafting recipes. He could build his own empire without taking orders from anyone else. Serving some boss, not a chance. He just wanted to thrive on his own terms. He wanted to grow his power slowly until he ruled this entire place. Submit to others, impossible. He opened his backpack to look for his rewards. Killing that skeleton had to yield something good, and he wanted to see it. There it was, a glowing golden cube sitting right inside his inventory. Pulling the cube out, he immediately recognized the iconic lucky block. These things definitely did not exist in standard Minecraft survival mode. You normally had to install special mods to get these chaotic boxes. Originally, he assumed this place was just a basic game world. But this changed everything, and honestly, things were about to get way crazier. The possibilities made his eyes light up as his mind began racing. Thoughts of Twilight Forest, swords, and SimCity flooded his mind. Skyblock equivalent exchange and terrifying mythical creatures. If all these different mods existed here, the potential was endless. His ultimate goal was to build a majestic world beyond his wildest dreams. Pure excitement washed over him as he began planning his next moves. Lillian, who was busy grinding monsters nearby, paused and watched him. She tilted her head, confused by his sudden strange behavior. She asked what was wrong, and he turned to show off his prize. Asking her to guess only made her instantly recognize the lucky block. Her incredibly calm response caught him completely off guard. Lillian tossed her golden pigtails and proudly put her hands on her hips. She proudly announced that she could do anything and knew everything about this world. Staring at her pigtails, he was thoroughly impressed by her bold claim. He asked if she was basically omnipotent, and she agreed instantly. She held her head high, her cute face radiating absolute confidence. Her words instantly triggered a sudden, worrying thought in his mind. If other players also got a made egg reward, they would be invincible. He frowned, growing deeply concerned, but Lillian just giggled at him. She covered her mouth, assuring him she was the only maid around. Only the very first achievement granted a maid, while the rest got lucky blocks. Hearing that his unique advantage was safe brought him instant relief. Lillian was simply too valuable to be shared with anyone else. If others had a helper like her, his ultimate advantage would vanish. He had zero interest in being a hero or saving the masses. His only goal was to stand at the top and look down on everyone. He stashed the lucky block away as dawn slowly broke over the horizon. The world chat was buzzing, and let's be real, his name was everywhere. A massive notification from the Academy arrived, making this feel like a game. An active community forum, it was hard to deny this was basically a game. He opened the message and found an official scientific recruitment letter. It sounded nice on paper, but he knew exactly what they really wanted. People are whispering online. The research department has no clue how to handle monsters. They cannot even solve basic survival, making this move look incredibly desperate. Yet they remain arrogant, acting like geniuses too good to associate with anyone. In fact, rumors say they desperately wanted to recruit Yin. He rejected their friend request, ignoring them completely. Now they are trying to save face while chasing after him. Thousands are adding him below, though some might just be paid trolls. Either way, those Academy elites naturally feel they have to protect their precious reputation. Naturally, everyone is dying to know, will Yin actually join them? The research department is state-backed, and people still highly value that status. No matter how much keyboard warriors complain, they would jump at this chance. Given a recruitment offer, they would be the first to run. And because of that reputation, most believe Yin will eventually choose to sign up. But some disagree, pointing out his brutal survival of the fittest mindset. A guy who believes the weak perish won't respect Academy highbrows. A mere mortal, that's what skeptics call him. They argue he is being treated like a god just for slaying two beasts. Naturally, massive online arguments erupted all because of him. He obviously noticed the chaos, his screen flooded with non-stop mentions. He could not ignore it, so he opened the forum to read their letter. Working under someone else was never an option. Especially now, since that prestigious academy is nothing but an empty shell. Even with all the power and money in the world, he refused to bow. Joining their department was impossible, so he completely ignored the chatter. Instead, he opened up his friend requests to see what was waiting. He found that tens of thousands of people had sent him requests. Without a second thought, he hit ignore all and moved on. Back in his past life, he was just a struggling, unknown streamer. He never expected his popularity to reach such insane heights. It was actually comical, especially considering how things used to be. With half this popularity back then, his life wouldn't have been so miserable. Closing the screens, he watches the morning sun slowly peek over the horizon. Instantly, the zombies surrounding his small wooden cabin ignite in the sunlight. They shriek in agony, thrashing wildly under the burning morning rays. They melt into rotten flesh and slowly vanish into the grass. Stepping outside, a cool, brisk wind rustles through the nearby oak trees. Out on the water, gentle waves catch the sunlight, glistening like silver. Nearby, beautiful small red flowers are in full, vibrant bloom. Breathing in their sweet scent, he looks at a world he rarely got to see. Bright blue skies, white clouds, and lush forests surround him. It is a gorgeous painting, far from the blocky pixels of standard Minecraft. Shaders and hyperrealistic textures are active, making the scenery incredibly pleasing. Amazingly, this gorgeous scenery does not lag his system. No strain on the graphics card, it is exceptionally smooth. Lillian quietly watches him enjoy the morning sun. Lillian tilts her head, her master really gets happy over some strange things. He looks at her and chuckles. She doesn't get it, this is called enjoying life. To him, the fun of Minecraft comes from how each person chooses to play. Some people love building massive cities, some like collecting resources, and others love to explore. Some just want to adventure, while others simply want to enjoy the scenery. Different people, different styles. That is exactly where the true fun of this game lies. After soaking up the morning sun for a bit, he realizes it is time to get to work. In just that brief moment, his thirst level has already plummeted to only 2 bars. If it keeps dropping like this, he figures he will kick the bucket pretty soon. He grabs some rotten flesh near the house, takes his stone shovel, and heads out. He heads toward the river, with Lillian following obediently behind him. Sand usually spawns near water, so finding a river means finding sand is incredibly easy. Spotting the sand, he walks over and uses his stone shovel to dig out half a stack. He slowly drags his heavy steps all the way back to his small wooden house. His thirst level has plummeted to 1.5 bars, making it impossible to run. He can only walk slowly now. It seems eating rotten flesh really speeds up thirst depletion. Without a second to waste, he quickly throws some charcoal straight into his furnace. He tosses the sand inside to start smelting. Before long, the heat does its work. The sand burns down and turns into glass. He immediately pulls the hot glass out. He opens his workbench, placing it right on top. Crafting a glass bottle is simple. Just take 3 pieces of glass and arrange them in a V shape on the bench. Those 3 pieces of glass easily craft into 3 perfect glass bottles. While he crafts them, 3 more pieces of glass finish smelting in the furnace. He turns that batch into bottles as well. Now he has 6 glass bottles ready. By the time he finishes crafting, his thirst level has dropped to critical levels. With only 1 bar left, his throat feels entirely dry and his head spins. This is way too realistic, he mutters, swaying heavily as he stumbles outside. In normal Minecraft, you do not lose health unless your hunger or thirst hits 0. At most, you just move a bit slower, so normally he wouldn't even worry about water. But actually being trapped inside this hyper-realistic world changes everything completely. Talk about a brutal reality check. He can feel every negative state taking a toll. Down to 1 bar, he feels like he is literally about to die of thirst. He stumbles to the river, scoops up water in a bottle, and drinks it. Gulping it down, the river water tastes incredibly sweet and refreshing to his dry throat. Maybe it is just because he has been desperately parched for so long. Smacking his lips, he quickly fills up another bottle and gulps it down too. He does not stop drinking until his thirst bar is completely filled up. Seeing this, Lillian walks over to him, looking up with quiet anticipation. He hands her a bottle and she mimics him, drinking water by the river. Just like players, maids also suffer from hunger and thirst in this world. Now he has 2 mouths to feed, so he has to work much harder. He fills all 6 glass bottles with clean water and hands 3 to Lillian. They can't constantly run back to the river, so portable water is a must. Having solved their immediate water problem, his absolute next step is finding food. Sure, he could eat rotten flesh to survive, but that only drains his thirst faster. Hunger was kicking in, but Lillian could not eat rotten flesh. He had to find other food. Returning home, he packed up his furnace and workbench, storing them in his inventory. This wooden cabin had only been a temporary shelter for the night. He would not stay here long-term. Stepping outside, he headed straight out toward the forest, hoping some animals might spawn on the grassy plains. If he could find a couple of sheep, he could finally craft a bed. Walking along, he suddenly spotted a white sheep grazing just ahead. Sure enough, he whispered, drawing his stone sword and quietly sneaking up on it. Lillian followed curiously, mimicking his steps and tiptoeing behind him. Quietly, the sheep had not noticed him yet, completely occupied with grazing peacefully. Seizing the perfect moment, he lunged forward with his stone sword, landing a clean hit on the creature. Immediately, its health dropped to 3 out of 8. The standard health pools here remained unchanged, but unlike the hostile zombies, this animal would not fight back. Crying out in pain, the startled animal bolted away. The opposite direction, he was not about to let it escape quickly. Giving chase and delivering the final blow, the sheep dropped instantly, leaving behind 1 block of wool and 2 pieces of raw mutton. He eagerly grabbed the freshly dropped mutton, since food was the most important resource. Waving the mutton in front of Lillian, he said she had food for the day. Lillian looked surprised that her master could hunt. Grinning, he stashed the items in his inventory, boasting that he could do absolutely anything. Lillian rolled her eyes, claiming she was the omniscient maid. Could her master really know more than she did? He confidently replied with a wide grin. Lillian pouted, earnestly listing off her own abilities. She knew every crafting recipe for tools, how to hunt game, and how to battle vile monsters. She even knew where all the hidden treasures were buried. He offered a very casual nod before looking at her with a serious expression, asking if she knew anything about redstone technology. Lillian froze, shaking her head in complete confusion. She knew of redstone, but believed its only real use was for crafting simple torches. He smiled, reaching out and tapping her head while telling her that her knowledge was simply limited. Soon, he would show her the power of redstone. With that, he walked deeper into the woods, leaving Lillian pouting. As she followed closely behind, she was the omniscient maid, so how could she be lacking? She demanded to know what redstone tech even was, calling out for him to wait, just as he suspected. The maid only knew the basic rules. Her knowledge was restricted to standard crafting recipes, but this game was about far more than that. One could build incredible things that completely transcended simple mechanics. His mind held the collective wisdom of countless veteran players, accumulated over 12 years of legendary Minecraft history. So even if she was an omniscient maid, her knowledge base could never compare to his. They continued walking quietly for a while, and he quickly ate a piece of rotten flesh to satisfy his hunger. At the same time, he tosses 2 thick, fresh pieces of mutton he just obtained straight into the furnace to cook. Just as the meat touches the hot coals, a mouth-watering aroma of roasted meat starts wafting out, quickly spreading the incredibly rich aroma across the entire open plain. This meat smells absolutely incredible, he mutters, standing greedily nearby. Lillian stares at the roasting mutton with wide, starry eyes, looking exactly like a hungry puppy waiting for a treat. He suddenly remembers the sweet apple he ate earlier, knowing this beautifully roasted mutton is going to taste 100 times better. The rich scent of hot mutton drifts far and wide, catching everyone's attention. People instantly sniff the air in disbelief, wondering what that incredible smell could possibly be. It smells like real cooked meat, and they are sick of eating sour apples. They desperately crave a hot meal, and the mouth-watering scent seems to lead right over here. Eager to find the source, a small group begins heading straight toward his camp. It does not take long at all before they spot him standing there in the distance. They see him and Lillian standing right beside a furnace, roasting fresh meat. They're completely stunned. Who on earth is actually eating delicious cooked meat out here? The newcomers stare in absolute shock, drooling at the sight. Suddenly, one of them snaps a quick screenshot of the scene and uploads it directly to the global world chat. "Look at this, guys," he writes. "Someone is actually eating roasted meat right now." The moment that picture hits the chat, the entire channel completely explodes. Players are completely losing their minds, complaining that they only have sour apples to eat. Some mention eating raw meat out of desperation, but this is on another level. They start wondering what kind of amazing tool he is actually using to grill it. One player recognizes the device, mentioning he saw something similar in a nearby village. It turns out to be a furnace, and everyone wonders how he managed to obtain it. Did he actually steal it from the NPC villagers, or is he just insanely brave? Another player complains about getting beaten up for a radish, while this guy took a furnace. But others point out the real focus should be the delicious roasted meat itself. Many confess to eating raw chickens before, never even realizing they could actually cook them. They urge the player who sent the screenshot to go over and investigate. They want him to ask for the exact cooking method before this golden opportunity slips away. The chat quickly floods with comments as the nearby players finally decide to act. They realize they should probably approach him in a friendly way to ask for a taste. They share a quick look before slowly walking over to introduce themselves. Right at that very moment, the mutton in the furnace is finally fully cooked. He pulls the steaming, fragrant roast lamb out of the hot coals. The mouth-watering scent hits him instantly, making his own saliva flow in heavy anticipation. As the hungry players approach, they struggle to keep their composure in the morning light. They have not eaten a single thing since yesterday, and their hunger is extreme. Their survival bars have dropped dangerously low to only 3 or 4 remaining points. They are literally starving, unable to stop staring at the hot meat. Their eyes are glued entirely to the freshly roasted lamb cradled in his hands. They swallow hard and ask if that is indeed real roasted meat. They desperately ask how he managed to make it and if they can have a bite. They do not even look him in the eye, completely focused on the lamb. He ignores the sudden strangers, packing the hot grilled lamb into his bag. A blunt refusal. This meat is strictly meant only for Lillian. 3. He was reluctant to eat it himself, so why give it to strangers? 3. Watching him pack the meat away, the group realizes their mistake. 3. Food is incredibly scarce here. You cannot just give it away. 3. Who would hand precious meat to complete strangers? Only a fool. 3. After storing the food, he packs the stone furnace away, ready. 3. He prepares to leave with Lillian, but the group panics instantly. 3. They rush forward, begging him not to walk away just yet. 3. We do not want your meat, brother, they plead with him. 3. We already know how to get raw meat, we just want to ask. 3. Where did you get that stone furnace? We all joined this world yesterday. 3. We are on the same side, there is no need for hostility. 3. Maybe we can help each other later, they speak so kindly. 3. Seeing their earnest faces, his guarded attitude begins to soften up. 3. He looks at the 5 strangers, hesitates, and finally speaks. 3. This is a furnace, I made it myself. They instantly laugh in disbelief. 3. No way, brother, if you do not want to tell us, fine. 3. But do not lie to us, the internal structure of this thing is complex. 3. What did you use to build it? It is completely meaningless to lie. 3. They refuse to believe him. Lillian glares at them, highly annoyed. 3. My master built this, she snaps. What is wrong with that? 3. It is not that difficult. As she speaks, they look at her. 3. They finally notice the extremely beautiful girl standing beside him. 3. 4 of the 5 strangers are men, their eyes glaze over. 3. They stare at Lillian's golden hair and cute maid outfit. 3. Even in this virtual world, everyone looks like real humans. 3. They are not blocky characters anymore. Their avatars mimic real-life looks. 3. The good-looking stay attractive, and the plain stay plain here. 3. There are no beauty filters in this world. Tough luck, right? 3. Lillian stands out immediately. Her golden hair and big round eyes 3. Are absolutely stunning. The maid outfit makes her even more striking. 3. Who is this beauty, they wonder, completely enchanted by her appearance. 3. One stutters out an apology, saying he was just extremely surprised. 3. The furnace is just so incredibly clever, he did not believe it. 3. We believe you now, they say quickly. How did you make it? 3. What a bunch of completely superficial hypocrites, he thinks to himself. 3. His explanation was a lie, but Lillian speaks and they believe everything instantly. 3. This world really judges everyone solely on their physical looks, huh? 3. He grumbles quietly, but Lillian does not soften at all. 3. Their flattering comments do not faze her one single bit. 3. My master does not have time to teach you, she snaps. Get lost. 3. The guys plead with her, then freeze. Did she just say master? 3. They look at the gorgeous Lillian, then back at his face. 3. What on earth is happening? They cannot understand this at all. 3. Wondering where they went wrong, a gorgeous girl actually called that guy master. All kinds of wild, shameful scenarios immediately flashed through their minds. Looking at Lillian's beauty, they could only sigh in endless regret. How could such a stunning woman end up with a guy like him? Their faces stiffened, after forcing themselves to accept this painful reality. They turned to face Yi Hyan, wearing fake, overly friendly smiles. They insisted they meant no harm, claiming they just wanted to get to know him. Really, they just wanted to know how he snagged such an amazing girl. Everyone was struggling to survive in this confusing virtual world, after all. They suggested becoming friends. Of course, they secretly hoped to steal his girl later. Yi Hyun saw right through their friendly act and just grinned back. The guy with the glasses stepped forward, extending a hand to Yi Hyun. He introduced himself as T-Sung, asking for Yi Hyun's name in return. T-Sung looked ready to declare war, but Yi Hyun calmly extended his hand. He introduced himself as Yi Hyun, polite but entirely unbothered by the challenge. The moment he spoke his name, the entire group froze in shock. Why did that name sound so familiar? Wait, could it really be him? The legendary player who scored 2 first kills and got recruited by the state. T-Sung stammered in absolute disbelief, asking if he was truly Yi Hyun. Yi Hyun shrugged, asking if there was a problem, silently mocking their clueless expressions. He rolled his eyes at their shock, while T-Sung's face instantly went pale. T-Sung frantically shook his head, stammering that there was absolutely no problem. It was over for them. Talk about running straight into the ultimate powerhouse. After all, Yi Hyun was currently the most famous player in the virtual world. On his very first night, he took down the legendary zombie of Shobi. He defeated those 2 terrifying beasts that gave the entire world a massive headache. Yet they had just spoken to him so rudely, trying to steal his girl. Even 10 lives would not save them now. T-Sung desperately began apologizing. He begged Yi Hyun for forgiveness, admitting they were completely wrong to offend them. T-Sung immediately bent in a deep, 90-degree bow to beg for mercy. Yi Hyun was genuinely bewildered by this sudden, dramatic shift in attitude. Just a moment ago, T-Sung looked like he wanted to fight him. Yi Hyun told them an apology was unnecessary, but they needed to leave immediately. He waved his hand dismissively, wanting absolutely nothing to do with them. But T-Sung stopped them again, pleading for Yi Hyun to be merciful. He begged to know the crafting method, asking if Yi Hyun really made it himself. Yi Hyun confirmed he did, but teaching them would be far too much trouble. He had things to do. It was not that he was holding back secrets. The crafting method was simple, but explaining it to total beginners was exhausting. To teach these absolute beginners, he would first have to explain basic tools. He would have to go over workbenches, crafting tables, and resource gathering. Then he would have to explain all the other advanced crafting tables. It was an endless, exhausting cycle of questions that he had no time for. Yi Hyun simply had no interest in wasting his precious time on complete strangers. His cold attitude immediately irritated the fat man standing right next to T-Sung. He is probably just pretending. That crafting furnace is likely just picked up from some random village. There is no way he actually made this. Everyone has only been in this virtual world for a single day. Where would he find the time to build a furnace? He is totally lying. Exactly, T-Sung, you would not actually believe he made this thing, would you? Seriously, it is just a simple furnace. Why on earth is he acting so secretive about it? Their voices grew sharper. They did not know much about Yi Hyun himself, so they naturally showed zero respect. They had no real respect for him. Sure, he got 2 kills. But that was definitely not enough to make them bow. After all, nobody here actually saw him fight. Maybe he just got lucky. Or used some cheap trick to snag those early world first achievements. Those simple achievements were not enough to earn their complete reverence. Everyone was used to the equality of Blue Star. They ignored the brutal law of survival of the fittest. None of them realized Yi Hyun's words would soon rule their lives. They foolishly believed everyone was still perfectly equal in this new world. Only T-Sung knew better. He sensed the dark truth. He completely agreed with Yi Hyun's survival mindset from day one. He proved this with his actions, not just cheap talk. The early kills, the food, the functional furnace, all made T-Sung realize that Yi Hyun was operating on a different level. This virtual wilderness was not just a simple game for them. This was their permanent home now. They would have to live here forever. The faster you adapt, the more resources you control. Simple as that. T-Sung snapped at the group to shut up and just leave. If Yi Hyun wants silence, stop forcing him to speak. This defense only made the fat man grow more irritated. He sneered at T-Sung, calling him a pathetic little kiss-up. He truly despised him. The others joined in the complaints. They questioned why they had to leave after trying to be friendly. They got nothing but attitude in return. T-Sung glared back. "Shut your mouth," he ordered, his eyes warning the fat man. Tisung absolutely refused to make a dangerous enemy out of Yi Hyan. But the arrogant fat man lacked any sense of danger. If he has a crafting recipe, he should share it with everyone. 900 million people are starving, he can't just hog it. Hearing this, Yi Hyan felt a surge of genuine annoyance. Normally, he was a calm guy who simply avoided conflict. But the fat man's sheer entitlement had finally crossed a line. This was his own crafting table, his own method. Why should he give it away? If he shared it, that was charity. If not, who could blame him? Lillian instantly picked up on the shift in his mood. Her eyes went cold as she reached for her weapon. Moving like a ghost, she instantly appeared right next to the fat man. The weapon plunged forward. A sudden, agonizing scream filled the air. The fat man collapses to the ground in sheer agony, clutching his chest and writhing. This is no survival game. It is a harsh reality where every bit of pain is real. Every sensation hurts. Lillian stands over him, her expression ice cold as she acts. She raises her foot to pin him down, pressing a crude stone sword against his throat. She warns him, say one more word, and she will end his life right now. A freezing breeze sweeps through, sending her golden hair whipping wildly in the wind. Groaning in agony, the fat man glares back at Lillian with rage, though fear creeps into his eyes. He stutters in panic. How dare she hurt him? He is calling the police. He threatens jail, but there are no police here, and killing is perfectly legal. Lillian speaks grimly, reminding him that he has already angered her master. So if she kills him, he only has himself to blame. Terrified as he is of the blade at his throat, the fat man still finds some courage. He screams out, does she really dare to kill him? Is there no law anymore? He promises that just for stabbing him today, he will report her to the state council. They will hunt her down, he bellows, trying to sound as intimidating as possible. Yi Hyan, wearing a completely indifferent expression, slowly steps forward from behind. He calmly points out that first, there is indeed no law in this place. Lillian will face no charges, and second, he is Yi Hyan, the one the council failed to recruit. He holds survival secrets nobody else knows, while this fat man is just useless trash. It is obvious who the government would value more. Yi Hyan steps forward. He grinds his boot into the man's face, looking down with absolute disgust. This is not Earth, it is the jungle now, where only the strong survive. If he wants this man dead, then he dies right here and now, no questions asked. This overwhelming, dominant aura instantly terrifies the loudmouth, shutting him up completely. For a second he is speechless, but he quickly snaps back and sneers in disbelief. He mocks them. Are they insane, thinking they can boss everyone around? Do they really think they can rule this new world like kings? Just because of a couple of first kills, he thinks he is untouchable. He dares him to try. He glares up with venomous eyes. Yi Hyan merely frowns, his patience completely worn thin. 1 second, that is all it takes for his head to roll off. Lillian strikes with terrifying speed, so fast that not a single onlooker can even blink. The lifeless body collapses onto the grass as a pool of crimson begins to spread. Watching the brutal scene, the remaining survivors instantly lose all color in their faces. Screams echo through the air as they panic over the cold-blooded murder right before them. They scramble backward, desperate to put safe distance between themselves and Lillian. Shaking with terror, they slowly turn their trembling eyes toward her. Nobody expected a woman this stunning to be so incredibly ruthless. She did not even bat an eye while snuffing out a human life. Talk about ice cold. Her face remains perfectly serene as she begins cleaning her weapon. She casually wipes the blood off on the dead man's clothes. Once she is satisfied that the blade is spotless, she stands back up. She kicks the corpse aside like trash and carefully stores her sword away. She behaves as though nothing happened, displaying a chilling level of indifference. Her face is blank. She is a total monster to them. One of the girls in the group finally loses her mind and screams. Clutching her head, she sobbed over the fat man's body. Terrified, she instantly bolted away toward the distant oak forest. She simply could not stand this harsh, exhausting nightmare of a survival game anymore. Starving, unable to sleep, and now forced to witness a brutal murder right before her eyes. Seeing her close friend killed in front of her was too much. The other survivors were equally paralyzed with shock from the death. They stared at Lillian, and all of their greedy, covetous expressions completely vanished in an instant. Now only pure terror remained. They backed away, shaking their heads. They screamed in absolute panic, accusing her of committing cold-blooded murder. Shouting that blood demands blood, they warned that she would never escape this place alive. The group scattered in panic, leaving only T-sung behind. Yi-yoon watched him quietly for a very long time, showing absolutely no intention of leaving the area. His cold gaze asked if T-sung wanted to die next. Afraid, absolutely, T-sung carefully took 2 slow steps back. At this moment, his eyes were completely filled with deep apprehension toward the mysterious young man. Last night, he wondered what monster got those first zombie kills. He had even imagined countless times that someone just got lucky. Perhaps finding a low-health zombie in the rookie area and finishing it off with ease. But seeing the truth now, that assumption was totally ruined. Those zombies, that was only a fraction of what they actually cleared. Given their overwhelming combat power, the monsters were actually the ones suffering in this fight. T-sung admitted he was simply curious about Ye-yoon. He spoke carefully while slowly retreating, maintaining a strict safe distance from them. Fearing he might also be targeted by Lillian and meet a highly miserable and unfortunate end. Yi-yoon ignored him. He had absolutely no interest in bothering with him. T-sung was still constantly backing away, yet his face showed no fear. He remarked that survival of the fittest is indeed the absolute ultimate rule of this world. And he admitted that Ye-yoon was executing it exceptionally well. T-sung continued to retreat, stating that this world was no longer normal. Only those who adapt to the harsh survival rules will ultimately manage to survive this nightmare. It was the brutal truth. Ye-yoon silently agreed with his words. As he spoke, T-sung suddenly stopped his footsteps, keeping his distance. He was only about 7 paces away when he looked up with a deeply serious gaze. He apologized on behalf of his group for causing this offense. He only hoped that the next time they met, they would not be enemies. After delivering those final words, T-sung turned around and quickly departed from the bloody scene. Once those people left, only the fat man's lifeless body, Lillian and Yi-yoon, remained behind. Then a complete shift. Lillian instantly reverted to her innocent self. She innocently asked if killing him will cause any issues. She pouted her lips in deep grievance, looking completely pitiful as if she did nothing wrong. This fragile look completely contradicted the ruthless executioner from before. Seeing such a massive shift, Yi-yoon felt both amused and highly frustrated. He asked why she decided to end him completely instead of just scaring him off. Lillian explained she did it because she felt Yi-yoon wanted him dead. She pouted in grievance, leaving Ye-yoon completely speechless. She asks if her master truly does not know about their deep mental bond. As his maid, she feels every bit of his joy, anger, and sorrow. Sensing his sudden urge to kill the fat man, she did not hesitate. Pouting with worry, Lillian fears she might have made a terrible mistake. Yi-hoon stops cleaning up the corpse and immediately walks over to reassure her. He gently tells her she did nothing wrong, as he wanted the man dead. His first instinct is to explain that taking a life is morally wrong. But seeing her look so downcast, he decides to keep quiet. After all, they are no longer back on Blue Star, but inside Minecraft. This brutal new world only cares about survival of the absolute fittest. The strong rise to the top of the food chain while the weak perish. Lillian was not in the wrong here, but humanity simply has not adapted yet. There is really no point in lecturing his maid over this matter. She only did what he desperately wanted to do himself in that moment. He promises that as long as he stands beside her, no one can punish her. Instead, he requests that she look for his nod before acting next time. This incredibly calm response shows how quickly he adapted to this brutal environment. He was never planning to let old society rules hold him back. His sole goal is to reach the absolute top, completely unbound. As he gets lost in his own thoughts, Lillian suddenly leans in closer. She curiously asks her master what the term sister-in-law actually means. She wonders if it is her new name since that man used it. Hearing this, Yi-hoon completely freezes at the unexpected question. Trying to look busy, he digs a 2x2 hole for the corpse. He drops the fat man down and quickly seals the top layer with dirt. It is a crude burial, but dealing with dead humans is quite different. When they die, their backpack items drop, but the corpses do not disappear. This leaves him with the highly annoying chore of burying the evidence. Once the task is finished, he turns back and clears his throat. He awkwardly explains that the word simply means an incredibly beautiful girl. He tells her it is a respectful term she should just accept. His friend T-sung naturally assumed Lillian was actually his girlfriend. Yi-hoon feels far too lazy to clear up this massive misunderstanding. With that settled, he pulls some warm roasted mutton from his backpack. He hands it to Lillian and happily watches her eat the meal. Though the meat smells amazing, he chooses not to eat any himself. Good food remains incredibly scarce during these early survival days. To keep Lillian fed, Yi-hoon quietly forces down some nasty rotten flesh. Once finished, the pair begins heading out toward the grassy plains. To be honest, the online forums are absolutely losing their minds over him. Players are amazed that Yi-hoon invented the ultimate roasting equipment. The trending post shows photos of him holding perfectly cooked meat. Pictures of his crafted furnace quickly gather over 70,000 replies. Desperate survivors leave comments expressing their absolute relief and awe. Many admit they tried endless methods but could never cook raw meat. To refine this, they need a furnace, a rare tool they only saw back in the village. Did he build it himself? It seems impossible, especially since they were just getting ready to roast meat.